HQ for tomorrow's battle at Warhammer World. I have a big mech with a shock attack gun. I also have Grop Face Ripper, so he was performed really well in the last battle out of the Stormclaw box set, so I'm taking him again. Over here we have Painboy and Warboss on a bike. Warboss comes with a Power Claw. Troops, again in the last battle when Robin was in charge of them, these guys performed really well. So we have a 18 boys green blob. In there is a boss knob with a power claw and one big shooter. Next troop choice, we have a 12 boys shooter squad running around in a truck. And finally we have a 10 grot squad with a Ruth Hound. So they, if they do get a mission where they've got to sit an objective at the back of the board, they normally do quite well at that, so see how they get on. Elites, we have 8 knobs on war bikes, and these guys, there are one big chopper and 4 power claws in there, 4 power claws. There is also another knob squad. These guys, 2 big choppers in there and 1 power claw. We also have, in the heavy support choices, we have 3 killer cans and 1 Death Dread. The killer cans all have the custom Mega Blasters. The Death Dread has rocket launchers and 2 extra close combat weapons. Next to them, 10-man looter squad with a mech with a custom Mega Blaster. Also have the Flash Gits there. Again, these guys are going to be sitting on the back of the board, hopefully just popping off Marines all over the place. Heavy support, we have a Battle Wagon, so that one has a Zap gun. It also has 3 big shooters. Fast attack, we have my Burner Bomber. So obviously coming on reserves, hopefully taking out any flyers that Robin has. Because at this precise moment in time, I don't actually know what Robin is taking. Or Jonathan is taking, for that matter. They could literally take anything. Will Jonathan take his Imperial Guard with his Baneblade and a Knight? Will he take his Black Templars with a Knight? Will Robin take his Iron Hands or his Blood Angels? Pretty much think he's going to take his Blood Angels. Will he bring his Fire Raptor? If he brings his Iron Hands, will he bring his Fellblade with him? I really don't know what I'm going to be facing tomorrow, so that makes it really interesting. So I won't find out till I get to Warhammer World. To combat the big stuff, first off, we have 1 Stomper. So in one of the Stompers, these guys are going to be transported around in that. So it should be a fairly safe option. Get them nice and close before they can jump out. We also have my Lifter Dropper. Now this doesn't come out to play very often because normally it ends up throwing itself across a battle table. But we'll see what it does tomorrow. Lord of War, we also have Gaz there. I'm not too overly impressed with Gaz since the new Codex came out. It seems to have been nerfed quite a bit. But we'll see if it performs any better tomorrow. And finally, we have my second Stomper. So in there, more than likely, will be the knobs being transported around with Grot Face Ripper. So we'll have to wait and see on deployment tomorrow and what the guys bring with them. So that is 4,100 points worth of Orks that I'm taking to Warhammer World tomorrow in the morning. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Let's see what the guys have brought.
Hi guys, it's Rob here. So we're having an apocalypse battle tomorrow. It's going to be Orks versus my Blood Angels and John's Black Templars. So here's just a quick overview of the army I'm taking. Obviously don't know what Richard's bringing, but I've got a good idea. I think he's just bringing everything that he owns and Orks, so there'll be 2 Stompers in the list, so that should be fun. So yeah, this is my list. So HQ, light's not great, so apologies guys. HQ Librarian Dreadnought, he will be Mastery level 2. Haven't rolled on the spells yet. We'll do that tomorrow. And we have Brother Cabulo. He will be overall Warlord, and he comes with his Warlord trait of Speed of Sanguinius. Troops. We've got 1 10-man squad of tactical marines. There's a heavy flamer in that squad. There's a melter gun in the squad. Sergeant, it has a power fist and a combi grav. They are most likely going to be riding in the Linebreaker tomorrow, because I don't particularly want him to foot slog it across the board. Second troops choice is the Death Company Dreadnought. This is actually Caster the Damned from the Deathstorm box set, so yes, he is actually a troops choice. You do pay a bit of an extra tax for him. He's about 10 points more than the standard loadout, but he becomes a character and troops, so that's quite handy, especially if you haven't painted your second tactical squad yet, like me. In the back there, again, sorry about the light, it's getting a bit dark here now. 5-man tactical squad. What you see is what you get. The sergeant is the guy in the middle, and he has the hand flamer. 2 elite choices. One of them is a new addition to the force, which is my Lightning Claws Terminators, which you've probably all seen in my showcase video. And then behind them, another 5-man squad with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. They're probably going to be deep striking into the car park as usual, but let's see how they go. These guys will be travelling with Corbulo, and they will be travelling in one of my heavy support choices, which is the Storm Raven, and that's what you see is what you get. Assault cannons and multi-melter. Next heavy support choice, Land Raider Redeemer, good for cooking up some orcs, and it's got the multi-melter on the top as an upgrade. Hasn't got the extra armour, that's just for looks. And then another new addition to my force is a Bowl Predator, and that just comes with the upgrade of the side-mounted sponsons. Then the very last thing, because I'm going up against a couple of stompers, I'm bringing my Knight Errant. So he's got the thermal cannon, the Reaper chainsword, and the heavy stubber. None of the new upgrades on him yet, so I haven't got them. But there will be a plan for some upgrades on the near future. So that's my force.
Okay, so the Black Templar portion of the Space Marine army consists of 2k, and in that 2k I've got a chaplain on the left in power armour and a tech marine on the right with a servo harness as my HQ choices. Each of these 2 units will be embedded into Crusader squads, which are basically identical. So if you move over to this one on the left, you'll see there's a power fist, a plasma gun, and a sword brethren with a combi flamer and a power sword. And the rest of that squad has traditional Templar armaments of bolt pistols and chainswords. Each of those will be riding around in a Rhino. So let's just move over to the right, and you can see an identical squad over here. I do have one of the Crusader squad down the front here. We've got plasma cannon, plasma gun, and then bolters for the remaining 6 members of that squad. These guys are going to pitch up on an objective or some other overlooking piece of terrain, and basically act as a kind of semi-devastator squad. If we move on to the elite section, we've got a Contemptor Dreadnought with 2 Keras pattern assault cannons, hopefully going to be making mincemeat of any light vehicles that happen to come its way. And then over on the left here, in the fast attack section, we've got a Storm Talon with a Skyhammer missile system. And then it gets very busy in the heavy support section. So for heavy support, we've got 2 Predators. The one on the left is equipped with an autocannon and heavy bolters for sponsons. That one will follow a Crusader squad around with it and just add a bit of extra punch. The Tri-Las Predator is basically going to go lone wolf and act as a vehicle hunter, bringing the las cannons to bear with maximum effect. Now over to the left here, again in the heavy support section, we've got Vindicator. Well, you can't argue with Pie Plates of Death, especially when you're playing Orks, so that's going to be lots of fun. And then the other heavy support choice is a Relic Sakaran, personal favourite model. Not sure what value it's going to bring to this game, but I just love playing it. And maybe that Jink nullification might just play nicely into my hands if I end up facing a squad of bikes. And then to complete my 2K, I've got an allied detachment which consists of an Imperial Knight. So this might actually be the first game I've played where I've controlled this knight rather than facing it. So that's going to be a little bit of a novel experience, but very much looking to buddying up with Robin's knight and going stomper hunting with that. So that's going to be good fun. So there we have it. There is 2K worth of Templars.
Today we are back at Warhammer World, one of their feature tables. So we have the Tau table. So this is an abandoned Tau world that the Orks have occupied, and the combined forces of the Blood Angels and the Black Templars have been sent to clear the world off from the green hordes that are currently occupying these lands. Okay, so deployment for the Orks. We have the Battle Wagon and the Killer Cans, Death Dread and the Lifter Dropper just in the forest over there. On this side of the board, so they're staring down at 2 Knights, Land Raider, quite a few of the Black Templar tanks. That's what the Lifter Dropper's there for, hopefully we're throwing them around the board. Hiding behind, well not really hiding, but getting some cover, we have the Looters at the back of the board and the Flash Git, so providing enough cover, but seem to have a nice view across the battle table there with their shots. Our objective marker is right at the back of the board with the grots sitting on it. That's what grots are there for. Over this side of the board, a bit more of a hammer over here, a bit more of the weight of the army. We have the bikes, the War Boss and the Pain Boy. We also have a truck full of Shooter Boys and the Stomper. In the Stomper there is Grot Face Ripper and 5 Knobs. In reserve for the Orks we have Burner Bomber and the other Stomper. So in the other Stomper there is Gaz and 18 boys. Okay, then over this side for the Blood Angels and the Black Templars we have the Battle Predator, Librarian Dreadnought and the Assault Squad, and a tactical squad of Templars over this side, and they're staring down at the Ork Hammer that is heading towards them. A bit more of their firepower and weight of army is on this side of the board, so on their right hand side of the board we have the Land Raider and the Contender Dreadnought. We also have a Rhino, 2 Knights. Towards the back, thundering their way through the forest, we have Predator, well 2 Predators actually, and a Rhino, and then the Vindicator sitting there on the edge. So quite a evenly distributed weight of numbers. So basically the hammers are going down the right hand side, so I get the distinct impression that this might actually turn, this whole table might turn round as there's the weights of the hammers come down on either side of the board. Oh, the objective marker for the Space Marines is down there in the marsh, so the Templar squad are sitting on that objective already. So basically on this side of the board everything has moved up, the Knights have moved up 6, all the Black Templars tanks have all moved up 6, the Predator, I think that's actually pretty much stayed still. Over this side of the board the Templar tactical squad have stayed still on that objective. The Sakaran tank, I think it's pretty much stayed still. Over here the Battle Predator has moved round from here. Over this side I think it's possibly trying to get away from that Stomper. We've also got the Assault Marines there, and the Librarian Dreadnought, which had the Wings of Sanguinius cast on him, has moved up there. And the Contender Dreadnought has moved up there. So it's going to be over to shooting. So there's going to be a lot of firepower now on this right hand side of the board at the weaker side of where the Orks are now. So we'll see how they weather the storm. Okay, so the Vindicator opened up over here at the Killer Cans. We actually only destroyed one of them, managed to get a cover save for the other one that was there. However, the Jonathan's Knight opened up over here, killing one, taking one down to 1 hull point. Robin's Knight, the yellow one, opened up onto the Death Dread, and that is now immobilised, so that's a nice piece of scenery that now can't do anything. Land Raider and everything else over this side of the board is pretty much out of range. The Contender Dreadnought opened up at the Looters, killing 2. Over this side of the board, a little bit more successful for them. The Battle Predator opened up on the truck, wrecking it, so The squad of boys have jumped out. The Scar and tank, which is down there in between the forest, opened up on the Stomper and managed to remove one hull point. Killer cans down here haven't moved. They are immobilised and one is shaken at the moment, so they can't actually do anything. The battle wagon will stay still, but with a zap gun, hopefully get a lucky shot off. On the night, the lift dropper has stayed still. We've got quite a few nice juicy targets we can see if we can throw around the board over there. Over here, the looters have pretty much stayed still. The big mech has stepped up a little bit, so hopefully getting some shots off at one of the either Librarian Dreadnought or the Contemptor Dreadnought. Down here, the flash gets to stay still. The guys out the back of the truck that was destroyed are pulling back, so they're going to run, coming back down here to consolidate on this target. The objective down here, because I know that the Storm Eagle will be coming on, and I'll have Terminators in, and I'm sure they'll be dropped there, or deep strike there anyway. Bikes have come through, starting to come through the forest now. The Stomper has moved up 12, ready to go and drop some big nasty templates on these guys, and hopefully kick Robin's new Bell Predator off the board. So first off, the lifter dropper. It's on the table, it didn't actually kill itself. It fired at the Land Raider, and unfortunately it missed, so nothing happened there. The looters and the big mech opened fire at the Librarian Dreadnought just here, taking a hull point, so they're going to try and whittle that one down as we're going. The boys out of the truck, they've ran an extra 2 inches on top of their 6, and they're heading back over here, trying to fortify that position a bit more before the Terminators actually turn up. Bike's not in range of anything. My Stomper, however, a combination of Super Gatler, the big shooter, the 3 big shooters on there, have taken out the Assault Marines, and then the big blast template has taken out 3, 4 of these guys, the Black Templar guys at the back of the board, and has also destroyed the last cannons on the top and taken a hull point. Over this side of the board, the tanks and the knights have split up. They are fanning out across the battle board, trying to secure the right-hand side of this board a bit more. So the Vindicator and the Knight heading down towards the battle wagon, and the killer cans. We have the Land Raider, Predator, and the Rhino hurtling up the middle. The Storm Talon is on in reserve and zoomed down the middle of the board. Now the other Knight has split off from this group and is heading its way across the board towards the Stomper. Big threat over there from that Stomper, so see if they can deal with it. The Battle Predator has slammed it into reversed and got the hell out of there because that Stomper was far too close to its liking. The Stomper didn't make it into assault, unfortunately, so gave the Battle Predator, as it's a fast tank, a chance to turn around and run away. It's probably a good idea. Another set of reserves that are on for Robin are his Terminators, which are now here, right behind the lifter dropper and the battle wagon in the woods. They managed to deep strike in a little bit further out and move 6 inches up, which is quite impressive actually, because these guys normally deep strike into the car park. So they've done quite well to actually manage to hit the board at all this time. Librarian Dreadnought has moved up 6 over this side of the board. So this right hand side of the board now is pretty clear for the Orks, and everything is on this left hand side here. Down here, the Knight and the Vindicator opened up with all their might at the battle wagon there. Unfortunately for these guys, their shots went wide or bounced off the armour, so absolutely no damage done there whatsoever. One good thing for the Space Marines is combined fire of this guys and the Flyer have completely and utterly wiped out my looters, so there's a big hole where my looters and my big mech used to be, which is a little bit worrying because that now opens up a big hole at the front of the table over here. On this side of the board, the Knight opened fire on the Stomper, taking off 1 hull point, but my actual Stomper is down to 6 hull points at the moment, mainly done from the Sakaran tank at the back. It was the auto cans on the top that I actually destroyed last turn, so the twin link las cans on the end, on the sponsons, opened fire, got a 6, rolled a 6, and then rolled another 6. So they took off D3. They took off 4 hull points off a Stomper in 1 turn, so that's always a bit of a concern. The battle wagon has moved up 6 inches, heading up towards the Knight. The Killer Cans have consolidated up back into a squad, so they've got strength 8 weapons, so hopefully they'll be able to do some damage. Down here, the Lifter Dropper has moved back 6, showing its front armour to the Termination. It's not going to really make any difference, but hopefully it might kill something before it dies in close combat. Reserve rolls, my second time Stomper is on the board. The boys here have moved back 6, trying to head back towards these grots, consolidating that objective, especially with the Terminator so close. Stomper, it's got some nice juicy targets over there and a nice big clump, so we'll see what damage we can do over there. Over this side of the board, the bikes are out of the forest and hurtling their way up this side of the board, hopefully heading towards the objective, which this Stomper is now heading towards. It is looking at causing some damage down here. We have the Sakaran tank in the woods, we have the back of the Battle Predator, and we also have the Marines. There's a lot of targets, and in this one there is Gokface Ripper and 5 knobs. So we have the chance of doing some damage across the board this turn. Pretty poorly round of shooting there. Basically, my Killer Cans, my Battle Wagon, opened fire at the Knight. Not actually hitting it. The Lifter Dropper down here opened up at the Land Raider. Didn't hit it. My Flash Kits opened fire on the Flyer. Didn't hit it. My Stomper, a little bit more successful with its 3 super rockets and its cannon. We have managed to take the Dreadnought down to 1 hull point and take a hull point on the Librarian Dreadnought, so that was quite a big explosion. The Knight managed to save it with his cover saves, annoyingly. Over this side of the board, this Stomper here opened fire on the Sakaran, taking another hull point off it. Opened up with the big cannon on the Battle Predator and the Black Templars troops, killing 2 of the Templars and blowing up the Battle Predator, which exploded in this guy's face. But heroically, he managed to survive the blast and pass his morale check. So he is literally on his own. If this guy's got any balls, he might actually charge a Stomper on his own, which would be pretty stupid but funny if he actually did that. So I can't imagine there being any assault, but let's see what's in range. At the back of the board, the Sakaran tank and the Rhino have moved around trying to secure that objective a little bit more. The Predator has stayed still. Over here we've got a big cluster going on over here now. The Vindicator, the Knight have all moved forward, so it's the Predator, the Rhino and the Land Raider and the Contender Dreadnought. Storm Raven is on from reserves. The Knight has moved forward. Probably more than likely going to go into combat with the Battle Wagon. Round here, Terminators are lining up an assault on the Lifter Dropper. Once again, that thing has done nothing. If you collect Orks and you take them and you actually get any success, please let me know in the comments below, because it'd be nice to know that one of them does something. Tactical Squad has jumped out of the Land Raider. The Librarian Dreadnought and the Knight are veering around here. They really are pulling their numbers towards this other Stomper. We've got the Flyer here as well, probably going to be mopping up these boys. The Grots are still sitting on that objective at the back of the board. Psychic face for Robin. He rolled Perils of the War for his Librarian, so he has taken a hull point with no saves at all allowed. He's also had to forget one of his psychic powers, so he has had to leave Bloodlance, so he no longer has that psychic power at all. The Vindicator down here, open up his barrage shell on the Killer Cans. He really doesn't like these Killer Cans, managed to scatter it off the board, however. The Knight open fire on the Battle Wagon, taking it down a hull point. The Flash Kits down here, they have all gone. They fell to a lot of fire from the Tactical Marines. And I think that was the only thing that shot it. I can't remember anything else that shot it, to be honest. My Stomper lost 2 hull points, combining fire from the Knight and the Flyer. Down 2 hull points. The boys squad down here been decimated quite a lot. There's only 3 of them left after fire from Storm Talon. And the Predator tank shot them as well. However, they're within range of the Stomper, so they are fearless. Over this side of the board, my Warlord on his bike has taken a wound. Managed to get the cover save, but managed to save one on the cover save and then fail one. Feel no pain. Over here, the Scarran tank with its twin link las cannons opened up on the Stomper, removing a hull point. It was closely followed by a barrage of fire from the Predator tank here. The Predator tank opened fire with its las cannons at the Stomper, taking off another hull point, and that one is down to 4. So I think it's about time that the Nobs and Grok abandon that Stomper before it actually goes apocalyptic and head towards that objective. There is a big hole where the lifter dropper used to be. The Terminators have ran in and just smashed it to tiny little pieces. It did actually blow up, wounding 3, but the Terminator armour saved them. So once again, the lifter dropper does nothing. Yeah, 200 points well spent. Bit more devastating over this side of the board. The Knight ran into combat with my Stomper. Had 10 hull points. Stomper ran in and destroyed it. It blew up. Admittedly, it was the weaker one of the blasts. However, it didn't scatter. So the blast centred over everybody inside it, which is the D1. So there was a squad of 18 boys, Gaz in there. And that's what's left. That is all that's left. Gaz has taken a wound from the explosion. So basically I have 2 shooter boys and a Nob. Devastated. Absolutely devastating that attack was by that Knight. Normally I'd always have my money on a Stomper winning in combat against a Knight, but not with dice rolling like that. Once again, Robin's Las Vegas dice helps. However, the Orks still have a Stomper on the board, and there's a nice big pile of Marines waiting to be shot at. Okay, the battle wagon has moved up 6 inches and turned slightly, so basically we get 2 big shooters and the Zap gun off at the Rhino. Reserve rolls, my bomber is still not on. It's not helpful at this point. The 3 remaining boys and the Grots have moved up. Now some pop shots at the Terminators. Gaz and the boys, the only option I really had was to move them into the forest, get some cover. Can't really go into combat with the Knight. The Knight would hit first and do a lot of damage and probably kill my Warlord, so Gaz has had to take some shelter. Over here, the bikes, the big mess of green over here, the bikes have jumped up and over the wall. In the process of doing that, the Warlord did a wheelie, made the landing, fell off the bike, landed on the crossbar and made himself take a wound, so really helpful. So we're now going to be heading up towards the Librarian Dreadnought and the tactical squad over there, hopefully do some damage. Over here, the Nobs and Grok Face Ripper have jumped out of the Stomper that has moved around here, aiming at these guys. We still can get a shot off over there, as we can see the back of the Land Raider, and it's well within the arc of fire. So these guys are looking at taking this guy out. Stomper, combat over here, big cannon over there. The 2 killer cans have opened up at the Vindicator. Managed to do nothing. That's awful. The battle wagon has opened fire with its 2 big shooters and its Zap gun on the Rhino. Yeah, didn't do anything there either. The Stomper up at the top end opened fire with its big template into the mass down here. It hit. We have done a hull point damage to the Predator, hull point damage to the Land Raider, and a hull point damage to the Dreadnought. Over here, this guy's still alive. He's still there, in danger of contesting that objective. The Nobs and Grok Face Ripper have jumped out, but they can't assault as a Stomper. For some unknown reason, it's not an assault vehicle. So they opened fire on him instead, and Jonathan managed to do all of the saves on it. Round here, the Grots and the boys open fire on the Terminators, which is a normal way. Grot firing at Terminators, you can normally guarantee that one's going to die, but not this turn. They stand in tough. That Terminator armour is hard to get through. Gaz, pinned down in the woods after abandoning his transport, opened fire on the tactical squad down there with his big shooter. No wounds caused at all. The boys, now this is a difficult one because they've got a strength 5 weapon, so they can't actually hurt the Dreadnought. But that means I can't shoot at the tactical squad because I want to get into combat with that. So no shooting from the bikes this turn at all. So let's head over to Assault and see what we can destroy. Assault phase for the Orks has been a little bit more successful. The tank down here has been smashed out of the way by the D-weapons. That has been completely and utterly destroyed. So that's a bit more easier around this side. Trying to free up this side of the battle table so we can get that objective. I think this side's going to be very difficult to hold down. Robin's Librarian Dreadnought has gone. He fell down to the knobs with the power claws in combat. He actually challenged my war boss. I declined. There's no point hitting him with 5 dice. We're not going to hit him with like 16. And he fell down, just weighing numbers of dice really. So he's gone off the board. So it's over to the Space Marines. Flyer has entered into hover mode, and Brother Kabulo and his supporting Terminators have jumped out nicely within range of Grog and his supporting knobs. Over here, the Rhino sped away from the Stomper as quickly as possible. Probably a good idea. And the Templars inside have jumped out, so they're going to be laying down some fire before the Terminators enter into combat. So will the Storm Talon, which has zoomed across this side of the board. And he's also aiming down at this, so really need to try and consolidate on this side of the board over here, but we're really being pinned back now. Over here, the First Knight and the Tactical Squad have moved around onto the Bike Squad, looking at crushing them as much as possible. Over here, the Second Knight is staring down at Gaz and the boys in the forest. Terminators are up through the cover, moving up towards the grots. Will the grots stand their ground, or will the Ruthhound have to execute them to try and get them to stay? We've got to hold out, contest that objective there. Pretty much nothing else has moved. Over here, Jonathan has very kindly jumped his Tech Priest out of his Rhino so we can repair the Land Raider. So a bit of brotherly love going on and helping out the Blood Angels, trying to bring that hull point back. On a little side note, I forgot to mention this Land Raider is actually immobilised, and obviously the Tech Priest is there trying to repair him. The Land Raider opened up with his melt gun on the battle wagon, blew it up, melted a hole in the front of it. Over here, the las cannons from the Predator down here opened up at the Stomper, taking off another hull point. This one's down to 3 hull points at the moment. Over here, combined fire from the Templars, the Storm Talon and the Storm Raven have reduced my Knob squad down by 3, and 1 is down onto 1 wound. I've also taken 2 wounds off Grok Face Ripper from the Storm Talon. Some nasty fire in there. So they've really been split down. However, that Stomper does have a big template which can drop down here. This guy here, the one that's on his own and has been pretty much all battle, has been quite super. He actually managed to kill one of the knobs with his bolter, so I think he's going to have to die. Down here, combination of firing from the Knight and the Tactical Squad have removed my Pain Boy, and another one of my bikes, so that means that I don't like I have feel no pain, so that's always a bit of a worry. Over here, the Knight opened fire with his gun into the forest, hitting Gaz and the knobs by the boys in there, killing the knob and killing one of the boys. However, one of the boys was saved by a blade of grass which protected him from the massive great big blast. Don't know how that happened, but hey, I'll take it. Down here, the Terminators overran the grots, not really a surprise. The grots couldn't actually stand up to them. So at the moment, we have 3 boys left facing down at the Terminators. Over here, the Knight ran into the bushes to take on Gaz. He managed to kill the 2 boys that were with him, however, Gaz, being the proper badass that he is, took off 4 of the hull points from the Knight in close combat. Maybe that Knight will learn next time before going into Gaz. We'll have to see what happens in the next round of combat. Over here, the Knight entered combat into the boys. I lost my Power Claw guy, but not before he took off 3 hull points off this Knight, so he's down to 3. So both knights have been wounded quite severely this turn. Have to see what's happening over there. Over here, the squads of Knobs and Grok wiped out Brother Kabulo and the Lightning Claw Terminators. Basically just opened a can of whoop-ass on them and ripped them to shreds. But Space Marines are looking quite good at the moment, but the cocky smile on Jonathan and Robin's face must soon be soon taken off once the Stomper unleashes its rage. And if Gaz can win the combat against the Knight, that'll be another big dent in the Space Marine armoury. Stomper has moved round. He's got the Templars in his sights. It's going to be quite interesting to see what's left after I unleash the Flamers and the big shooters at them guys, and then launch the big template over here. Let's see what survives this turn. The bikes are in combat, Gaz is in combat. Oh, my flyer has come on. Automatically came on, so it's heading down towards the tactical squad. So it's a burner bomber, so we've got some Scorcher missiles and we've got big shooters and we've got the Grok turret at the top of it. So hopefully do a little bit of damage with that, but we'll have to wait and see. Over here, the three boys are doing one heroic last stand, walking towards the Terminators, going to open fire so we can pull some of them down and contesting that objective. The boys down here heroically managed to kill one of the Terminators with their shooting. The Killer Cans again open fire at the Vindicator, did nothing. They have pretty much done nothing all game. Big massive pipe plate of doom from the Stomper landed right on the Tech Priest's head, killing him instantly, destroyed the Predator, took out the Contemptor, and has reduced the Rhino down to 2 hull points because I rolled a 1, so that's 11, so front armour, yeah, great. Land Raider failed to do anything with it. Over here, the Stomper opened up with the big shooters, 3 of them, twinning big shooter and the Flamer, removing 2, 3 Templar guys, so they're going to be assaulted quite shortly. Somehow this squad down here managed to survive. I did kill 4 off in the process. However, that means my Stomper is now locked in combat, so they can't shoot it this turn. That's always a bit of a bonus. Down here, I lost 2 bikes. Took a wound off this guy with the remaining knight. So that contest carries on. However, you might have noticed up here, there is no knight. Robin basically whiffed all of his rolls to hit Gaz. Gaz punched the knight in the face, killing it outright. However, the Titanic explosion that resulted from all the loss of hull points meant there was a D-blast right in Gaz's face because it didn't scatter. So Gaz was killed in the process. He died a glorious death, as every Ork would love to do. He died ripping the skull off the front of the knight. So that's dead. So we now literally have the 1 knight to deal with. 1 left. Can we get rid of this before the end of the game? Stormraven has flown around this side of the board, dropping off his cargo that I actually thought Robin had forgotten about. His Death Company Dreadnought, which is now staring down the side of the Stomper. That's going to be an interesting one. So the Terminators are moving around this side of the board. As we've got a bike in combat with the Knight still, we have the Storm Talon that's moved around over here as well. Obviously trying to look at shooting down the flyer. Terminators are still in line with that objective and with the 3 remaining boys. So considering that the Killer Cans haven't actually done anything all game, Jonathan seems determined to wipe them off. So with the Vindicator, he's opened fire, killing 1 of them, so there is 1 left. My flyer, well, that came on for 1 whole turn, killed a couple of Space Marine tactical squad, and then crashed and burned after being shot by the Storm Talon, removing all of its hull points, and it crashed and burned basically down there. And that is it for shooting, because we've got combat over there and combat over there. Let's see if the Stomper can survive. Down here, the Terminators ran into combat with the 3 remaining boys and squished them. No real surprise there. over this side of the board. To answer the question of can a Stomper survive an attack of a Death Company Dreadnought when it's got 2 hull points left, the answer is no. It did, however, blow up, Titanic explosion, killing the 4 Templars that were standing in front of it, but the Death Company Dreadnought remained there unscathed. So that is it, that is game. Yeah, that was an enjoyable battle. Not overly a lot left on either side, really. Annoyingly, although one thing I will say, is that guy there, on his own, is still alive. Some people are just born to annoy you. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Like if you like. Put comments in the boxes below. Would love to hear the feedback, what you thought of the big Apocalypse battle. A beautiful table at Warhammer World. And as always, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you guys soon.